Welcome to Teaching Truth. My name is Glenn Cartwright. Any dream will do. Well, in Teaching Truth this week, we've been seeking to draw back the curtain so that we can see for certain what God's Word says about how we discover God's dream for our lives. We've been taking some stepping stones across the river of truth to help us do that. And today we come to the fourth stepping stone, and it's this: don't procrastinate, but activate. So how do we discover God's dream for our lives by doing that? Well, by keeping company with people who are trying to discover God's will and God's dream for their lives also. You see, dreams and discouragement are both equally contagious. Associate with someone who is always down in the mouth and always seeing the negative side of life, and it gets you down after a while. You start to feel discouraged yourself, but get alongside somebody who's a dreamer, who's a visionary, who's passionate, and they create a fire and an excitement in your spirit. The proverb says this, that as iron sharpens iron, so one friend sharpens another. 1 Corinthians 15 verse 13 says this: bad friends ruin the noblest people. And so the lesson is this, that if we want to fulfill God's dream and to discover God's dream for our life, we must associate with godly dreamers. You see, if we want to soar with eagles, we cannot run with turkeys. If we really want to go with God, find and fulfill that dream that God has for us, we've got to associate with the right people. If we've got a relationship going, or a friendship with someone, and they're not doing anything good for us and they're pulling us down, and it's time to, I would suggest, reconsider that friendship or relationship. And that's why it's important to be part of a church family, a family that is focused on serving God and to discovering His will and His dream and His vision. Dream your dreams, but keep company with godly dreamers. But also, make your dream known. Make known that which God is revealing to you. And why should you do that? What's the reason? Well, I believe by doing so it demonstrates faith. So don't procrastinate, but activate. Because as you start to talk with other people, and as they hear you talk about your dream, and the dream that God has for your life, it may encourage them. They might just be waiting on someone to come and openly share with them about God's dream, perhaps for their life too. So visualize your dream, but also verbalize your dream. Verbalize that which God is opening up to you. Don't be afraid to share what He is revealing to you as He draws back, as it were, the curtains. Because it will inspire and encourage others, and it will strengthen and bless you in your faith journey. Over the years, prophetic words have been spoken into my life by those who I've trusted, and they've helped me to discover God's dream for my life. Be open to people speaking prophetic words of encouragement into your life. It will help you discover God's plan, God's dream, God's vision for you. And often the fear of failure can keep us back from actually fulfilling that which God has planted in our hearts, fulfilling that dream that God has given to you. My fear of failure used to be bigger, much bigger, than my desire to see God work. And yet over the years, as I've grown with the Lord and as I've become, I trust, wiser, my desire to see God work now is bigger than my fear of failure. My desire to see God work now is bigger than my fear of failure, because I want to be part of exploring and living, as it were, the dream that God has for my life. One of my favourite Bible verses is tucked away in Acts chapter 13, verse 36. It says of David that once he had served God's purpose in his generation, he fell asleep. And I humbly trust and pray that that may be said of me when I pass away, that I served God's purpose in my generation, and then, as it were, I fell asleep. That I served God, his purposes, and fulfilled the dream that he deposited and revealed into my life. The Apostle Paul said this: "We beg you, please don't squander one bit of this marvellous life that God has given to you." And in echoing the words of the Apostle Paul, I beg you, if you're listening to this or watching this, please don't squander one bit of the marvellous life that God has given to you. Let me finish with this. Do you remember our stepping stones across the river of truth to help us discover God's dream, God's plan, God's vision for our lives? Here they are. Don't bind, but find that dream. Don't imitate, but dedicate. Don't reject, but protect. Don't lose it, but use it. And don't procrastinate, but activate. Don't waste your life. Don't put off till tomorrow or next week in beginning to discover God's dream and his plan and purpose and vision for your life, because you may never have another opportunity to do that. Grasp that wonderful dream that God has for you. As a young boy in the mid-70s in Carluke Baptist Church, I never dreamed the dream that God would have for me. And yet, as I look back, I thank God so much for all that he has done in and through my life, as I've discovered his dream for my life. As I've drawn back the curtains, I've known for certain that he has a dream and a plan for my life, as I've discovered what his word says. Nothing matters more than knowing God's dream for your life, and nothing can compensate for not knowing it. Nothing matters more than knowing God's dream for your life, and nothing can compensate for not knowing it. God bless you.